before the revolution began. Before the famous protests and declarations, there was a warning, a quiet shift in power that many colonists did not yet fully understand. In 1764, the British Parliament passed the Sugar Act, a law designed to raise money from the American colonies. The act placed taxes on sugar, molasses, and other imported goods. These items were essential to colonial trade, especially New England, where merchants relied heavily on them for rum production. But the tax itself wasn't entirely new. Earlier laws had already attempted to regulate trade. What made this act different was enforcement. British officials cracked down on smuggling. Ships were inspected, custom agents were given greater power, and accused smugglers could be tried to a vice admiralty court with a jury. No jury, no fair trial. This is not right of Englishmen. To many colonists, this felt like a direct threat to their rights. The idea that they could be judged without a jury challenged long-standing traditions of British justice. Leaders in the colonies began to speak out. Among them was Samuel Adams, who argued that taxation without representations violated their rights as British citizens. Although the protests were not yet explosive as those to come, seeds of resigns were being planted. Colonists began organizing, writing, and questioning Parliament's authority for the first time. Many started to see troubling patterns. If Britain could tax sugar today, what would stop it from taxing everything tomorrow? The Sugar Act did more than raise revenue. It raised questions about power, fairness, and the future of the colonies. Just 1 year later, those questions would erupt into one resistance with a new law, the Stamp Act. In the mid-18th century, 13 British colonies stretched along the eastern coast of North America, prosperous, growing, and proud to call themselves British. But beneath the surface, tension was rising, and in 1765, a single act of Parliament would ignite a firestorm. Following the costly French and Indian War, Britain found itself deep in debt. The solution Parliament believed was simple. Colonies should pay for their own defense. Thus came from the Stamp Act of 1765, a law requiring colonists to pay taxes on printed materials, newspapers, legal documents, playing cards. Anything made of paper required an official stamp. To British officials, it was reasonable measures. To the colonists, it was something far more dangerous. For the first time, Parliament had imposed a direct tax on the colonies without their consent. No taxation without representation! The cry sped quickly. Colonists argued they had no representation in Parliament, and therefore no voices in the law that governed them. Protests erupted across cities like Boston and New York. Tax collectors were threatened of British officials. Secret organizations such as the Sons of Liberty formed to resist British authority. They organized boycotts, imitated officials, and relied on their people. We will not enslave to trinary. Colonial merchants joined the resistance, refusing to import British goods. The economy pressure began to mount. In London, Parliament watched as unrest grew. The colonies, once loyal and profitable, were becoming increasingly defiant. Faced with the mounting resistance and economy loss, Britain had a decision. The Stamp Act was repealed just 1 year later, but the damage had already been done. The Stamp Act had united the colonies in opposing positions. It was introduced as a powerful idea that government must answer to the people. Through the taxes was gone, the